Okay. Hi, everyone. It is November the 9th, and I'm coming to you today without my glasses on. I put them on, and I was getting glare from the screen into the glasses, and I thought that's not a good image for you to have to be looking at. So I'll just put the glasses on as needed, kind of like this, and keep the glare, keep having to look at my screen glare in your face. I did a video earlier today because I wanted to do something today that was not the election, something that was actually a totally different subject. And I went out for a walk and did a video about having your feet in both worlds. I didn't think it was necessarily a video that was great for this channel, but I know a few people have said in the past when I've said, yeah, I did a video and I didn't like it. And people say, well, you should post it anyway. Let us make the decision if we like it or not. So fair enough. And I'm going to post it over to my other channel. Post it to my backup channel. I'll put the link below, and it'll get up there about maybe an hour after this one. It's a slower load. So anyway, that's there. I've got some little bits of tiny updates, but I'll push them to the end of the video. And instead, I'm going to talk with you about what I think is a pretty valuable subject. And that subject is, I called this Where's Cavey, kind of after the Where's Waldo, where you have to go where Waldo's hiding and you have to go look for him. And it's from the idea of a friend of mine was sharing some information with me today, and she was talking about how she's been watching certain videos lately, particularly what would be classified as experts in whatever field they're experts in. And she made the comment that actually the main thing I'm getting from watching the videos is not information about what they know, information about what I should do. I'm getting information about where they are in the cave. And I think that was a brilliant observation. And I think it's something that we should all really take in mind. And that is one of the most important things we should be doing is getting a gauge on, as we say, where is the person we're getting some information from in the cave? And let's be clear, everyone is in the cave. If you're in a physical body, you're still in the cave. If you're in an astral form, you're still in the cave. If you're in an etheric form, you're still in the cave. If you're in a spirit form, you're still in the cave, right? You're still in Plato's cave on some level. I'm still in the cave. I'm going to be, for anyone that maybe thinks I'm not, I am. I'd like to think I've moved to certain levels. I've gotten to certain places closer to the exit, but I know I'm still in the cave. And I know there is still work to do on many levels. And I'm still really looking forward to meeting someone who is much closer to the exit than I am, who can offer a piece of information that I haven't seen yet. So I'm just acknowledging I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, and nor should you put me or anyone else on a pedestal. They're in the cave. And they maybe know something. They've got some information they can share with you, but it's important to know how much energy and effort you should truly put into somebody, as opposed to what they're telling you how much information you should put into them. Does that make sense? So I think that becomes an important piece of information. It's that you have to decide, you have to learn to decide for yourself. And it's an important part of the journey. It's an important part of the journey to determine where are the people you're going for information from the standpoint of the cave. Because how to say this really well. When you know where someone is in the cave from the standpoint of how much information they really have to be able to share with you, again, you know exactly who to focus your energy and time with more and who to spend your energy and time with less. Because, everybody has something to share. Even you sitting out there, you may think you have nothing you can share with people about anybody, but you too, everybody, you've got things you've learned, you've got life experiences, you've got things that are unique in your experience as a human being. So everybody has something that can be shared. Everybody has something you can learn from. The question becomes, how much energy and focus should you put on specific people, including me? right? So here's a suggestion that I've come up with that I think could be useful for people. And that is to make a little personal diagram for yourself. So the way I'm suggesting to do it is you create your own cave on a piece of paper. So maybe you're going to make it as a circle. So let's say you make it as a circle. Those are the outer walls symbolically of the cave. Put a little space where, okay, that's the exit. That represents, of course, the screen and what's being presented. I would maybe put a dot at the center. That's the projection device. That's the closest, or that is the demiurge. That's the creation point. Just like if you actually made it with a compass, right? The compass point goes in and then the point goes down and does the complete circle. Well, the compass point would be the creator, the demiurge, right? Okay, so you've got your little diagram. You've got the point at the center, which will be the demiurge. The closest will be the archons, and then you'll have minions who are working for the archons and who are attempting to run and control this reality. Now you can start looking at who are the people that I think have something to share with me, be they the people whose books I read, whose videos I watch, whose channels I go to, whatever, whoever you think has information for you. And that can be family and friends, people that you know. Who do you think knows something that could be useful to you? Now take your diagram and start placing them one at a time on your piece of paper. Where do you think, and it's all you, right? This is how you're seeing them. Where would you put them in the cave itself? And I think that's a really interesting experience. First of all, where are you putting all the people that you're coming to information for? Where do you have them listed in your cave? Okay, now you can recognize even more so, they're all in the cave. None of them are all knowing. None of them are perfect. All of them, including me, have our flaws, our challenges. Who's done enough work that's come up with more and more pieces of information that are valuable to you? Here's the next step that's ultra important and requires extreme honesty. Now put yourself relative to everyone you've just put in that diagram, put yourself on that page. Where do you think you fit into in that overall diagram? No right or wrong answer to this. This is how you feel about yourself comparative to who you've put in the diagram. If you've been really honest and if you've come close to really laying people out in your diagram, you're going to be able to know the ones close the way I've set up this diagram with the circle and the dot, the ones closest to the dot, closest to the center of the entire matrix. Those are ones that at this point, who's ever closer to the center point than you, that's someone you want to take what you can get from, learn little bits in here, but maybe you're not going to spend too much time in your research journey and your learning journey from them. Who are people that are close to you? Who are the ones that are in your rough area of the cave? Now this tells you not only who can you share experiences with, who can you actually direct and share experiences and learn from each other's interactions and others what you've learned yourselves, because you speak the same language, right? You're in the same area. And it also helps to tell you when you see this, who you can relate to and who you can't relate to. It's telling you more how to listen then. If it's a channel, if it's someone you're not able to talk to, if it's a YouTube channel, now you're listening to them as a friend. These are the people that you can become friends with, you can become connected to. Then there'll be those that you've placed closer to your exit area. Now, these are the ones that then you feel are somehow, I don't want to call it a step ahead. It's just for language here, but are, let's say, further out of the cave. Well, now these are ones you're going to listen to in a little different way. You're not listening to them specifically as friends. You're listening to them more as direction pointers, as someone who's seen a little bit more of the totality of the cave than you have and can give you clues and insights. That doesn't mean just because you've placed them closer to the exit, doesn't mean you should believe them. It just means they've probably seen more than I have. Now, they might be correct in how they've interpreted what they've seen. They might be making an error with what they've seen. You don't know yet. You're not there. But what you can do, right, is take this possibility and say, okay, I think this person's closer to the exit, so I'm going to take in their information and think about it, swirl it around. Maybe come closer to having your own experience where you can answer yes or no, whether who you've listened to or not is indicating what you think they are. I just recently had an experience myself a couple of days ago, very late at night. It was 10 or 11 o'clock, and I was thinking, for whatever reason, I'd gone to bed. I was a bit tired, and I was thinking about an experience that I had had in my teenage years, something very simplistic, nothing totally unique, but an experience. And all of a sudden, I was like just in that place where you're just falling asleep. You're not asleep yet, but you're just going there. And it was like right at that moment where like the material world was going away and the dream world, the astral world was coming up. Boom, insight. And it was an insight about this experience that revealed information about what Carlos Castaneda claimed are your album of memorable events. And I've read this book for 20 years, and I still had no understanding of what he actually meant, because he called it, they're supposed to be events that are personal but not personal. He called them the dark touch of the impersonal in them. And I spent years, to be honest, I've done my recap. I spent years trying to figure out, what does he mean? And what kind of event in my life would fit an event that seems personal but is actually impersonal, meaning it relates to every single person in the planet. Whatever you want to call this place, right? Don't attack me for using the word planet. It's just a word, right? And I finally, from this one experience, I had this insight, deep insight, how this one little, a kind of series of experiences together, it's like a bigger experience with little pieces of it, was like, okay, this is an event in my album. And I see why this story could be applied to every single person in the world. Every single person in the world relates to my story. And I finally understood. I don't want to go into detail of it now because I'm just still learning this. I'm rehashing it. I'm figuring out how this applies, and now I can look for other events in my life. So I think until I've done some work and built the album a little bit bigger, I don't want to go into detail with you, but it can happen that quickly. It's just boom, this explosion of understanding. Oh, that's what Castaneda meant by the album of memorable events. Okay, I'm bringing that up because this is kind of how we want to deal with, remember, the ones who are closer than us to the center, who ones we think anyway are closer than us to the center, we're treating, we're friendly, there's something there that we can learn, probably on a more material scale. Great. The ones that are of a similar level than us, we can share what we know. We can share our experiences. We know we're at a similar place, and we can be friends on the journey. Those that are a bit closer to the cave wall, we can look for information that can later on come into us, work through us, and maybe explode at a particular moment of knowledge. We're not going to get it from watching the video. We'll get it later of like, boom, this is what this person was talking about. Oh, this is what she meant, right? And you get this, and it might be weeks, months, years later. I still have things from Mr. Park told me 25 years ago that all of a sudden I get now. Like, oh, that's what Mr. Park was saying. How did I miss that, This exercise, I think, is, again, also valuable because it's a reminder everyone is in the cave. So it knocks down some of the people like to put those that they feel that they're learning from on some sort of perfection pedestal. And the New Age, specifically the New Age, they like to present themselves as perfect. They like to present themselves as they know everything, they've done everything, and they are absolutely perfect. They are beyond flaw, and they are beyond your even attempt to find a flaw in them. This is a reminder, if we're in the cave, we've still got some flaws. We've still got things that are not complete yet. We've still got things we don't totally understand. So that's a reminder that those that you're listening to, you can knock a few pegs down on your perfection list and realize if you spent 3 or 4 days with them, you would realize, wow, I would have never guessed I would see them talking like that. Wow, So this is a useful experience to remind yourself we're still all in the cave together while we're here. And I guess this links to the other video that I did earlier this afternoon, this idea of little things like learning how or keeping the ability to be selfless, the ability, I talked about this as being selfless, of helping others, of being of value. And at the same time, sometimes you have to be selfish. Sometimes you have to actually focus on, but what do I need on my journey? What do I need right now? What do I need for keeping my body and mind clear and healthy? And you have to handle both sides of this all the time. You have to handle the going towards the exit side of Plato's cave, and you have to handle being inside Plato's cave at the same time. You can't try to deny where you are and project yourself somewhere else and ignore the experience of, albeit a false manufactured reality, but still it's your experience. You can't ignore it. You can't focus totally on the experience and forget that, but actually the goal is to, whatever your goal is, have total knowledge, have, leave the cave, whatever it is. So I just wanted to share that with you because I really thought this little idea of, when you watch these videos, when you watch people, the first thing that should be coming into your mind is, I'm getting an indication of where they are in the cave. The first thing that they're actually presenting in their information, in their book or in their talk is, here's where I am in the cave. So once you get that, once you can dig through all that first, you're not so worried about the information they're trying to share first. You're saying, this is where they are. Okay, so now if that's where they are, now I have an idea of how much of my own energy and time and focus can be given to them, because I get a better sense of what I think can be learned by me in the process. Or I can get a better sense of, this is someone I could be friends with now. We talk a similar language. Now I can understand where they are, because they're exactly where I am. And if two people can figure that out, that we're in the same place, that's a really deep friendship that can develop on this path. And you can really start sharing some deep things with somebody who can understand what you're talking about. Again, I don't want to go into the conversation I had with a friend of mine today, but that played into it as well. I was able just to help her with something because had been in the same place she had been. I'd been in the exact same situation. So simply by sharing, this was my situation, this is how it was, this is how I managed to change the situation, gave her partially the confidence that her situation that she was in could change, and then the situation that she was in even had a possible roadmap of ways to do. She just had to build it for herself, if I can say it that way. She had to kind of build her own model. And then those that are closer to the front of the cave, you're learning that these are ones that maybe I should just ignore totally. Maybe they might be a bit of a problem for me. So, or okay, there's one or two things I can learn from this one here. I can learn still from the experiences they've had. Because remember, everyone in the cave still has something that you can learn, even if it's to learn what not to do. Right? I had some really bad hockey coaches in my life, and I learned from them. At least I didn't learn what to do, but at least I learned what not to do. I learned, if I ever got in this situation as a coach, don't do what this guy did. That's a guaranteed failure. So no matter what, there's something you can gain some information from on your journey. Now, again, we're not going into this. It's a place of learning, and we know it's not that, but there is the semblance of learning certain things as you move towards the totality of yourself, which it seems like when you reach that, you realize, well, there was actually nothing to learn. You were unlearning all the garbage you've been supposedly had learned over the course of your life. So a lot of this stuff, we're asking, okay, where's Cavey? Where are these people in the cave? Where's everybody in the cave? Where are you? It gives you a really good possibility going forward of, one, not getting caught in a perfection idea with anybody you're listening to. It gives you a better understanding of who to listen to more, who to listen to less, who to maybe go and share things with. Because again, if you try to share something too heavy with someone who's much closer to the center than you, they're going to see you as crazy, or they're going to see you as a problem. They're going to see you as, so you want to know, even if you're going to share things about yourself, who are you going to share them to? Who are the ones at a similar place who will be able to recognize and understand what you're sharing with them, and therefore can become a good interaction together. So I guess that's what I wanted to say. It went maybe longer than it needed to go, but okay, it came out. That's how it came out. So, like I said, the short little updates. So the print book is coming along slowly. I'm just waiting for the okay from the publishing group that I use that it's ready and can go to the bookstores, ready to be able to be bought. So I'm just waiting on that. I'm starting the audiobook tomorrow, so give me 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks to get the audiobook read and put together and out there for you. 2 new interviews are up. Both are completely different interviews. I'll put the links below. One is Higherside Chats, and that was really almost a 2-hour discussion of my life, more than what would normally be in my current interviews about the current book or the current thing. It was a lot of stuff of he wanted a discussion of the totality of my life and how all sorts of things fit in. So it's a very different interview than what you might be used to. Then I had another one with the group Alfa Vedic, which was also a very, very good interview. We got into some really interesting topics, and that's where this alchemic book, The Red Lion, came up, and a number of other things. So those links are below. And I guess that's all I have to say. There's 7 or 8 more interviews to go for the rest of the month, and I'll work on the audiobook, and as soon as the print book is available and can be actually purchased, believe me, I will let you know. Thanks for following along. I'll be curious, and I'd be curious if some of you who are friends with each other, who know each other, I would be curious, or not I'd be curious, but it would be curious to see what would happen if, like, people who knew each other made your little cave a diagram. This is where I placed people on my diagram, and you shared it with a friend. Like, where do you have, because you might know similar, you might be listening to similar people, similar channels. Do you have them? Do you both have them in similar places in the cave? Do you have them in different places? I think it could be quite also a discussion tool between people, because you're not just discussing the material, you're also discussing, well, where are they in the cave? Where are they from the standpoint of what they know compared to what they think they know? So all these things are a possibility of interesting little experiments you can do along the way. All right, when I've got more information on the books or whatever, I'll let you know. Let's see in a couple of weeks where our world is at, and I'll try to find a way to stare at the screen from here on out and not have glare when I look at it. Cheers.